Good afternoon everybody and welcome to another video. I'm glad to say that I'm back in Scotland this week and I'm on an island, which of course are my favourite places. This is the island of Seil, which is connected to mainland Scotland by this bridge, known as the Bridge over the Atlantic. Its real name is the Clachan Bridge and it was built in the 1790s. Just next to the bridge you'll find this old inn. Apparently it used to be known as the House of Trousers. And the reason for that was because in the mid-18th century, when tartan was banned on mainland Scotland, people used to go into this inn and change out of tartan into other clothes before going across to the mainland. I started my journey from Glasgow. The distance by car from Glasgow to the Isle of Seil was approximately 120 miles and took about 3 hours. But once you're out of the city and into Argyll, you'll pass spectacular scenery the whole way. The cottages here behind me would have belonged to the quarry workers and their families. So the owners of the quarries built permanent accommodation for their workers here on the islands. And around the 1820s, they built cottages that were a good standard of the time, that were better apparently than the average cottages in the Highlands. This is a restored 19th century crane which used to stand on the timber pier in the village. 20 years ago, the crane was in danger of falling into the sea due to the deterioration of the pier, so money was raised to restore the crane and move it into the centre of the village. The Scottish Slate Islands Heritage Trust on Seil Island is a small but densely packed museum housed inside a former slate quarry workers' cottage. Rather than being a single-theme industrial museum, it recreates the whole world of the Slate Islands during the 18th, 19th and early 20th centuries. There are sections on domestic life, old photography, public health, local wildlife, as well as on the slate industry. So the village has a few parking spaces. They're all free, but there are a few spaces reserved for residents. So if you can't park right in the village, just 100 yards from the crane and the shop, there's a sign that says free car park, which brings you here. So as you can see, it's really big, there's plenty of space here, and this is free too. So this is the bedroom that leads on to the balcony. So you've got enough facilities here for cooking. I'll probably just use the microwave anyway. And there's also a toaster and a kettle. We have a little barbecue, and that's a washing machine, tumble dryer. You've also got some cleaning equipment as well. In the village of Balvicar, you'll find the island's main grocery shop. There are several bus stops on Seil. You can get a bus to Oban, which is about 15 miles away on the mainland, and the buses go across the Clachan Bridge, so there's no need to get on a boat. So also here on the Isle of Seil you have a golf course and there are walks you can do. There's a nature reserve where you can go walking, but if you do, I recommend taking hiking boots because the paths aren't always clear and apparently around there it can get quite boggy. There are also boat trips like wildlife safari and a trip to the whirlpool. I'll put a link to that in the description below. And you've got the ferries to the other islands of Ling and Easdale, which is where I'm going next. The island you can see here in the distance is where I'm going next. Good morning everybody, and as you can see it's another glorious day here today. I'm on the Isle of Seil on the pier and I'm just waiting on the boat to go across to the Isle of Easdale. It's a tiny island with no cars, so this boat is really small. It only holds a few passengers, no cars, so I can't take the car with me today. It has a population of about 60 people and it's so small I'm hoping I can just walk all around it. In the waiting room, you press the bell to request the ferry from Easdale. Even though you press the bell to request the ferry, it's not an on-demand service. By pressing the bell, you've requested the ferry to come at the next allotted time on the timetable. In the early morning, the ferry runs every 15 minutes and then it goes every 30 minutes later on in the day, so it's best to check the timetable before you make your journey. The ferry ride only lasts a couple of minutes and tickets can be bought on the boat or in advance online. The island is very small, measuring roughly 0.25 square kilometres. In 2005 there was a proposal to build a causeway between Seil and Easdale, but it never happened as the Easdale residents were opposed to it and wanted to keep their island as it was. So because there are no cars on Easdale, these wheelbarrows are here so that people can use them to take things around the island. And I've just noticed that the wheelbarrows have either got numbers or names on them. Behind me, this big building is the Island Hall, and I've just seen in the window they actually have some performances there sometimes. There's also a shop selling souvenirs in there, and then next to it is a cafe called The Puffer, and this cafe, it will be open for lunch. It also opens as a restaurant for an evening meal and sometimes at night as a pub. So there's a little honesty box here where you scan the QR code and you can buy some of this soap. I like to buy local products, so I think I'll buy something. So I bought this soap here. It was £6, so I was able to pay by card. Luckily the signal's good on the island. This is the view back over to the Isle of Seil where I left earlier, and as you can see the two islands are very close together. So although the population of Easdale today is only around 60 people, it used to have a few hundred living on here, possibly as much as 500 in the mid-19th century when the slate industry was at its peak. In 1881 there was a huge storm here which ruined some of the quarries, and the industry started to decline after that. And the last quarry on this island closed around 1911. Straight ahead is the island of Mull, and to the right I think that might be Inch Island, which was also one of the Slate Islands. The slate on these islands formed millions of years ago when ancient mud sediments were compressed and transformed by geological heat and pressure. This created rock which could be split cleanly into thin, flat sheets. The slate industry began on a small scale here as early as the 1500s, but it accelerated in the 1700s. It expanded under the control of the Campbell family, who owned much of the surrounding land and encouraged commercial quarrying. Workers began to arrive from other parts of Scotland, and housing was built for them so they could remain permanently on the islands. Shipping infrastructure developed, and Easdale became the heart of the slate industry. Some quarry pits here reached 90 feet below sea level, and the landscape was dominated by cranes, tracks and piers. The slate quarries created dramatic stepped excavations, many of which still survive today as flooded pools. At its peak in the mid-19th century, the islands exported 9 million slate tiles per year, and the slate was exported to various countries such as Canada, the US, Australia and New Zealand. So I've just done a walk around the whole island. I'm almost back to where I started. It was about a mile, 1.5 kilometres, according to the tracker I'm using. So that shows it is a very small island and you can walk around it in a short space of time. As well as working in the slate industry, a typical quarryman might also have repaired boats in winter, grew potatoes and oats, kept a cow or sheep, and went fishing in certain seasons. This mixed island economy helped families survive seasonal fluctuations. The islanders were deeply religious people, and on Sundays there were rules to be observed, such as quiet behaviour, boats staying ashore, and church attendance. So unlike the Isles of Ling and Seil, there is no shop here, no grocery shop. You can get some drinks and some supplies here at the Puffer Cafe, but I just asked about groceries, and the residents have to get groceries from the mainland, from Oban, where there's a big Tesco supermarket, and the Tesco supermarket deliver down to the Isle of Seil. They drive over the Clachan Bridge and they drop everybody's groceries at the pier where I just came from this morning, and they come over then on the little boat. So that sounds really handy. The museum is open from April till October, but you can't take pictures or film inside. The museum was founded in 1980 and grew from a local effort to preserve the history of the slate quarry communities before memories and artefacts disappeared. Its original curator came from a family of slate quarriers, and many exhibits were donated by island families themselves. The museum covers a variety of exhibitions such as slate quarrying technology, workers' daily lives, and the geology of the Slate Islands. This was the island's old schoolhouse. To light the fire in the school, each child had to bring a piece of coal every day. If any child forgot to bring the coal, they had to sit the furthest away from the fire for that day. The building is now a residential house. That's all from me today on the islands of Seil and Easdale. If you like this video, check out my channel where I have lots more videos on other Scottish islands.